Why on the set? You're live.
Good evening, everyone. This is the October 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This
This
meeting is being
conference will now be
operated
recorded.
as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone by dialing 408-650-3123 and then entering access code 942-845-549. Or public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners and also are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission, and before we begin, let me do a roll call. Tom Fallon.
Here.
Michelle Colross.
Here.
Mark Sclammo.
Here.
Brooke Holdgren.
Here.
Okay. So this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. I don't know if we'll have any remote participants this evening. So without further ado, the first item on our agenda, 7 p.m. public hearing, a notice of intent filed by Worcester Quality LLC for property at 9 Maria Avenue. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed to vote. Please come up, identify yourself, please. You can sit down if you'd like. Please have a seat.
So I'm. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So good evening, I'm Kate O'Donnell from Ecotech, wetland scientist. I'm here with the applicant and property owner Joe Goodman from Quality Worcester LLC. So at the last meeting, the commission had decided to enforce the $8,500 fine associated with the 85 days that it took to get a notice of intent filed. So we were a little thrown off at the last meeting because we had been communicating with Jesse Averka, who was the former agent at the time. And so at this meeting tonight, we wanted to request your guys' permission to kind of go through the timeline of events during that 85-day section and also discuss our timeline of communication with Jesse. So is it all right if I proceed with that?
Sure.
Okay, so the commission obviously voted on June 12th of this year to issue that $100 a day letter, which was mailed out to Joe Goodman on the following day, Thursday, June 13th. And I believe that Mr. Goodman received that letter in the mail on Monday, June 17th. And that same day, he had reached out to us at Ecotech. He reached out to Paul McManus, who's my boss. And that same day, I had reached out to Jesse at the town and let him know that we had been reached out to by Joe and that we were working on it. You know, we were looking into it and that we'd get back to him. And so I went out to the site actually on June 19th, which was 2 days after we were reached out, and had confirmed, you know, what the letter had said, that there was site activity on the site and that a notice of intent would be required. And at that point, we had recommended to Joe to get a wetlands delineation, put together a site plan with the 100-foot buffer zone, as well as the limit of site activity, and a surveyed wetland boundary on the site plan. Which Joe had agreed to, and we were contracted to do that work, and he reached out to a site surveyor as well. And then on June 26th, we actually completed our wetland delineation, which was about a week after that. And once we flagged the site, we completed our wetland report, and then at that point we were waiting for the surveyor to survey the flags, put together that site plan. And that did take about 4 weeks to get the initial site plan, and I had noticed on that plan that the 100-foot buffer zone was not shown on the plan, as well as the 25-foot no disturbance zone. And it was my opinion that those were important pieces of information to include on the plan. So I had requested to the surveyor add these items, thinking it would be relatively quick. But it did take about 4 weeks from that point to get the final plan. We got it on August 28th, and then within a week of that, I had filed the notice of intent on September 5th. And in that timeline, I had emailed Jesse in July. He had asked for an update, and I let him know that we had flagged the site, and the flags were located, and we were drafting a notice of intent and preparing to file it. And then as well, in August, I emailed him, let him know that we were, getting ready to submit the notice of intent. Soon, again, there was delays that were unexpected, but we did get it submitted, within that timeline. So tonight, we are requesting to the commission if they would consider reducing that fine, because in our opinion, there was an effort by Joe to immediately start the process to file a notice of intent by contracting with us, getting the wetlands flagged, and getting the flag surveyed as well, and producing a site plan. And then there was also an effort on our behalf to communicate with the town, with Jesse, of our efforts during that time. Maybe retrospectively, we should have filed an incomplete application just to have something to the town, but I think we would be on the same timeline, waiting, continuing to have these items prepared for you guys. So we would appreciate your guys' consideration of this request, and happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
I have some observations. Apparently, first of all, as you know, work was done on the site without filing a notice of intent. An enforcement order was issued, and then we have communications between Mr. Averka and Mr. Goodman going back to April regarding activity at the site, flagging of the BBW, and so on. It seems to me that a 2.5-month delay between the time Mr. Goodman received the letter on June 17th of 2024 and receiving the application or the notice of intent on September 5, I'm not sure that 2.5-month period is acceptable. So I take your point about perhaps reducing the fine. What I'm also disturbed by, though, is that we have evidence, and in fact, Mr. Goodman has received a new enforcement order because there's been other activity that's been done at the site. This is beyond the pale. This is unacceptable. Until we take any action on the notice of intent, no work should be done there, which means no wood chipping should be put on the bank. No cement berm should be put on the roadway. And respectfully to Mr. Goodman, we've had prior dealings with him at 498 Rochdale Street. He knows how our commission acts. And so for him to continue with this activity, this conduct is just unacceptable, totally unacceptable. With respect to a reduction of the fine, it's something that we can discuss at this point. But I will say this, as I quoted to you, and I don't know if you had an opportunity to review the general laws that I cited to you, but under 9.14, and I believe, by the way, this is not within our discretion. I believe this is mandatory. And I'll repeat it again. Any town board, commission, officer, or department shall deny. Shall has legal significance. It means you will. It doesn't mean you may. It means you will. Shall deny any application or revoke or suspend any local license, including renewals and transfers for any person, corporation, or business enterprise who has neglected or refused to pay any local taxes, fees, assessments, betterments, or any other municipal charges, or with respect to any activity, event, or other matter which is the subject of such license, and which activity, event, or matter is carried out or exercised, or is to be carried out or exercised on or about real estate whose owner has neglected or refused to pay any local taxes, fees, assessments, betterments, or any other municipal charges. So, as I see it, there are two issues here. One is the amount of the fine, but also there's the issue of whether the fine will be paid. And this says to me very clearly, if the fine has not been paid, then we cannot act on or accept or approve any notice of intent. So the question then becomes, and we will have a discussion about whether a reduction in the fine is appropriate or not. The question then becomes, if we agree to a reduction, when will it be paid?
Well, if I may, I can't speak to the first things you mentioned. I was not involved in any of the prior, enforcement activities you might have had on other sites. Regarding that fine denial, we're working, this whole time, we've been working to get the site into compliance. We filed the notice of intent as required. Joe's doing whatever it takes within reason to get, this moving forward. And I can't speak to Joe. I mean, you can speak for yourself about whether you will pay the fine, but I would assume that, yes, he will pay, whatever it takes to get this moving forward.
Please, go ahead.
So as long as something is reasonable, I would be more than happy to be reasonable as well. As stated, I did try to get everything moving as quickly as possible once I received the letter. To your other statement about wood chips and the concrete berm, there's been zero disturbance on that site for, I don't even know, 6 months, almost a year. When was it was way before April. I don't know the exact timelines, but it was before April. Everything was finished up over there. I went to apply for my permit. I realized I can try to find the timelines, but I believe it was definitely before April. I haven't been there in 6 months doing any work at all whatsoever. I mean, everything's been stabilized and, grass growing.
Mr. Goodman, if I
Yes,
may?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
I'd like you to see these pictures. I took them myself personally last Monday when I went to the site.
So,
There was somebody, you could see tire tracks in the grass, so somebody frequently drove and dumped stuff on the hill.
people from that entire neighborhood dump over the hill. Everybody does that over there. I have not told anybody they can do anything. They just go there and dump, and they've been dumping over the hill forever. When I was doing work over there, everybody came up all concerned that their dump site was going away, and I told them, just as long as it's over the hill, I don't care. But I didn't, I don't care doesn't mean that it's okay to do it. It's just, don't dump it in the middle of where we're working. But if they're throwing yard clippings or whatnot, to me, it's not a big deal. To you, that might be a bigger a problem. I can easily put up no dumping, no trespassing signs, be more than happy to do so, but personally, me, myself, or anybody that I've paid or anything of that nature, nobody has gone there to do any work whatsoever. If somebody from the neighborhood took their stuff and backed in and dumped, and I've seen that. I saw some tracks in the grass a couple months ago. I was by there to grab something because I have a little bit of wood over there, and I grabbed something for a different job, and I saw tracks in the grass line, but that has absolutely zero to do with me or anything that I've approved or anything of that nature.
The problem is that the hill is within our jurisdiction because of at the brook at the toe of the slope. And so, nothing should be happening on that hill because nothing should go there. And I think to your point, and you can do what you want, but if you believe people are going onto the property without your knowledge or permission, then you should post no trespassing signs. And you've got a foundation there, and you have some building materials there, I believe.
I have a small amount of stuff there, yes, sir.
So, it might be in your best interest to post a no trespassing
I would
sign.
be more than happy to do that, but I personally, or nobody that I had told to or paid to, went there to do anything whatsoever.
Well, I'm telling you right now, we will take your request under advisement. We will have a discussion. For obvious reasons, we cannot act on your notice of intent this evening, because if we did, well, I'll put it to you this way. You have every right, if you want to close a public hearing, you can. But I can assure you, regardless of whether the fine is $100 or $8,500, based on 9.14 of the bylaws, your application will be denied, because I have no discretion in that. So perhaps it might be in your best interest to continue the public hearing in this matter.
which is fine, yeah.
Could we open the discussion to discussing the fine tonight? And also maybe schedule a site walk as well?
Well, we've been out
We
to the
went-
site.
Yeah, we went this past.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
You know, again, if the property had been posted, we wouldn't have gone. But since it wasn't posted, we went on the site.
Could I ask a question, Mr.?
Yeah, you can ask
Do you
me.
own Quality Fence? Is that one of your
I
companies?
do own
as well?
Quality Fence, yes.
Did you ever think of putting up a temporary construction fence like you'd normally see on the site? Just given that you own both parcels of land, and it would just be a way to keep anybody from going down there and dumping. I mean, to put up a temporary fence would be a minimal expense compared to having the, come in front of this board.
So I'd be more than, I mean, so if you want me to put up a fence along the top edge of the hill, I'd be more than happy to do it. But to the prior point, you would have to express that to me or tell me that it's fine.
Right.
And then I will do so. But I'm not trying to get myself into further trouble with you.
No.
But yeah, I can throw a fence up at the top of the hill and put a couple of no trespassing signs. It's not that big of a deal. Yes, it's not a problem.
It appeared to me that like somebody recently dumped wood chips down there and spread them out like on that banking, but it wasn't like packed down like it had sat there for a while. I would say it was fairly recently. And maybe somebody just was trying to spread it out so you didn't see a pile of it, but like, I don't know, but I saw what I saw.
Yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
just makes sense.
I put wood chips, but they were there from last
these
year, and
were-
I spread them out in the early spring. I
Right,
think it was.
these look like they were, like fairly more recently, I would say.
We were out there in the spring. They weren't there in the spring,
Yeah,
that I
so,
remember.
yeah, no, the last time I was there, that we did any work, there was the dump truck load of wood chips, and I spread it out with the Bobcat, and I hydroseeded the whole top of the hill, and that was the last time we worked there.
This was the steep, this is
That's-
where I'm talking is a steep slope of the bank, like, let me see if I can.
It's here.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Even like
same.
looking, if you look on this map here, like right at the crest of the hill right here, where it goes down and it's steep, like, is where it looks like it was dumped down and spread out or whatever, but like, I know that wasn't done with a Bobcat
That's
right there, because
recent, for
it's like a 40-degree
Okay.
I don't
incline, so it really drops steep.
Yeah, I mean, which is, yeah, because that was all hydroseeded anyways, because that's
Yeah.
on the flat spot.
That would've
So everything
been
on the
covered
flat spot was hydroseeded and hay growing over top of it, like, so, but yeah, I didn't, that wasn't anything that I told anybody they could do or gave anybody the right to do. But people have, from my being over there, everybody had been dumping over there for years and years and years, and they were all worried that their dump site was going away. So it's just somebody from that area that, but yes.
It's tough being on a dead-end street, because then, like in the city of Worcester, for example, going a little off base here with us, but like there are a lot of places where people will just go, they'll dump stuff, dump it down the hill, mattress, whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, we haven't seen that, but I mean, I definitely think, I don't know about the other members of the board, but if you were to, we gave you permission to put up a temporary fence, at least going along that whole road where somebody wouldn't be able to drive over there and dump something down would be a good start anyways, I think.
I mean, which I'm fine with doing that, that's not a problem whatsoever.
So myself would like to look at the emails or the email traffic between either you or Mr. Averka, because I need to
have-
confirm you've made copies.
Yeah, I have a whole packet. I don't know if you
submit
want
that,
all of
please?
them.
Yes, I do.
So it's starting with the letter and kind of goes through the timeline that I went through with the first email to Jesse, his reply, my emails with Joe, and then receiving the site plan as well from the surveyor, and then my updates to Jesse as well. And then I highlighted all the dates as well.
I still think 2.5 months is a long time.
For a surveyor, I mean, they tend to be the holdup. Honestly, I see that all the time, is that I'll flag something, it can be upwards of 6 months before I'll see a plan ready to be submitted to Concom. I think it's unfortunate that the second set of 4 weeks took so long, because we had the plan like ready. I don't know why it took 4 weeks to add the buffer zone line, but that is the delay, yes.
So it got put into AutoCAD, and so he doesn't do AutoCAD.
Right.
So he gives it to an engineer that does all the AutoCAD for him, and so that's, it's, one to the next to the next.
Okay.
So if it would have been a hand-drawn in, it would have been faster, but, yeah, so that is why.
I mean, I think because the letter was very clear about the fines being imposed, what you could have done, and, hindsight's always 20/20. What you could have done is you could have come in to see us and say, we're working on it, can you suspend the fines?
Right, and that's kind of what I had thought my correspondence with Jesse would do. I thought he would relay the information to you all, but I agree, hindsight's 20/20. We definitely could have done that, but it's our opinion that we prefer to file something complete, and something we can say, this is a full application, than something incomplete, and then having to continue for weeks at a time until we have all of the materials required.
Right.
That's
All right.
Unfortunately, it's not Jesse's job to do that. That was,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's your job,
Sure.
not Jesse's.
Sure. I misunderstood his
Yeah.
role, I suppose.
I have one question for you, Kate. Now, on this email here, you're describing what you see for quick conditions
And
here.
what's the date on that?
That is let's see, here we go.
June 20th?
June 20th, from Scott Morrison. Now, you mentioned there's clear vegetated wetland at the bottom of the slope to the south, and clear work. Now, there is a large area of trees where the trees were ripped out, and it's basically like roots and maybe like 2 to 3 feet of the stump, and there's a huge pile of them. And one of the concerns when we first went out there, when we saw all that, was like, is the owner gonna get this stuff out of here? Because, I mean, even though it's on a hill, it's not in the wetland, but it's like right on that slope, and it's just sitting there.
The stumps are in the
Stumps,
ground?
Right. It's further back from the area where the wood chips are. I'm sure Mr. Goodman knows where, they're kind of tucked back. I don't know how you would get those out of there. If you had a machine, pulled them out or something, I don't know, but there was a lot of them. I mean,
So there was a few stumps, and they were placed at the base of the hill, and that was in intention, because you don't have to remove stumps from a property. It's, you can't bury stumps, but you're not, you...
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
but you don't have to remove them, that's not a requirement. And so they were placed at the base of the hill because, it didn't matter. So that's...
the only thing that I would see with that was just given that it's in that buffer zone, where it's not just on your standard, it's not like a standard parcel of land, it's sloping down towards the,
So,
and that's just, what I observed.
Any other comments from the board?
My thing is, can the stumps be removed?
it would be, so that would be problematic in the regards to, it would be very disturbing. Like, I would.
Yeah, okay, you'd have to-
I'd have to run a machine down and up and down and up and down and up to get all the stumps
Okay.
out of there. It would, more, it would be more disturbing than it's worth.
Disturbance than it would-
Yeah, okay.
Because it's wood.
That was
It
the
is wood,
biggest
it's
thing
not
that we've
like-
seen, yeah.
And how far is that from the wetland?
The silt fence itself is about 30 to 40 feet away from the wetland.
The stumps are a good 15 to 20 feet from the silt fence.
So about 50 feet?
50 feet, yes, or more. Because the wetlands, the wetlands changed. It was just beyond the property line, but the new, which I have from Mass Mapper, it shows it is beyond the property line. And the way it's drawn in now, there's a segment that kind of veers in, and from what I've learned, wetlands migrate over time, and so that's, but the closest point is less than, more than 50 feet away from the tree stump activity or whatever.
I'm not looking at it, I'm sorry. The gentleman that was here, the concern about the end of the street and how the water, and we saw it when we were there, that berm that you tried to do at the end with the cement. And when we went in the spring, it looked like there was, when it rained, there was kind of like a turd of water that went down there, and you tried to fix it with the cement.
Well, so I tried to keep the water off of so there's no infrastructure from the city. There's been a constant channel where all the water goes down the street. I have it documented from back in 2022,
Okay.
where there's water that goes down the street, and it's cut a key way into the hill, and it feeds into the wetlands. And that's how it's been forever. There's no catch basin, there's no curbings, there's no infrastructure whatsoever from the city, and the topography
It just
goes
runs that way.
and water
It's down.
goes-
I
it's
get it.
just
It
how
flows
it
down.
is.
I got it.
And-
I got you. Right.
But I did do that, and I did that concrete, I think, in December of last year. I just put that there because I already had a construction mat. To get in and out of a site, you put riprap, or 6-inch minus rock, so that the tires knock off the dirt before it goes back onto the road. So I already had the rock in place. I just dumped dry cement on the top so that it would just channel the water instead of going up and over and into the line, more like a gutter, basically. I just did
Is he
a,
saying that that was worse for his property because of what reason? And I know that he had a concern for that, though. That person that was here, do you guys remember?
No.
Neither do I.
So, why don't we do this? Well, we have another issue too, because as it turns out, our next meeting would normally be on November 13th. However, because I guess of the Veterans Day holiday, that is actually going to be the evening of town meeting. And so we have been asked to reschedule our meeting. We only meet once in the month of November, and the dates or the options are either November 6th or November 20th. Do you have any preference?
I would be happy about the 6th.
Okay, well, that's why I asked. Mark,
Okay.
do you have a
The
preference?
6th is good, too, yeah.
6 is good with me. All right, it's good with me, too. So we will take your request under advisement. I appreciate you providing us with the emails, and with your permission, we will continue the hearing on this to November 6th.
is there anything we can do to forward this through between now and then to make things any better? No. Do you want the fence up? Do you want me to put signs up?
Well,
Or is that going to be decided at the next meeting?
what we did, we actually issued an enforcement order to you, so we could actually take it up as part of the enforcement order, I suppose. So in terms, well, let's discuss that then. If we're concerned about material being thrown over the bank, it seems to me a fence would be a good idea, don't you think? Yep.
Especially if it's winter time. I mean,
Well,
how much stuff do you think is going to?
Well, I
You
mean,
seem to know this more than we do at this point, so.
Well, so, I mean,
were
this
people
is-
dumping
this
snow
is
down
leaf-
there? Were they dumping everything down
No,
there?
no,
or
I'm
just
assuming
clippings?
it's leaves and grass clippings, and I've seen piles of grass clippings, I've seen leaves. I mean, this is leaf season, so
So
I'm sure
probably
stuff is
sooner
gonna...
rather than
I
later
mean,
is
stuff's
gonna be
gonna
better.
go down the hill no matter what, because leaves, yeah, everything's gonna blow and go that way
Right.
anyways, but yeah.
Okay,
So, I can't, I don't know
You're
what
right.
people are gonna do, but I have no problem doing whatever you want.
I mean, that seems reasonable, correct?
that seems reasonable to me.
So like that plastic fencing, is that what we're talking about?
So like, you're just looking for orange mesh fencing, metal poles, orange construction fence?
Anything that will dissuade people from dumping stuff over the bank.
I mean, you
We can leave that to your discretion.
okay, that's fine. So it'll either be like a light chain link or a orange mesh or something along those lines. I mean, I cannot, obviously, and I'll put signs up as well, I can't guarantee you. People are resourceful and they're gonna find a way and a way.
Got it.
Yeah, okay, all right, so,
Right.
No trespassing signs as well.
yeah.
All right, very good. So we will see you on November 6th. I think you're probably going to be the 7 o'clock hearing.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't read this.
Guys,
Thank you
appreciate
for
your
coming
time.
in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
O'Donnell. Two N's, two L's.
So
Yeah, that was in your packet.
can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for 9 Marie Avenue to November 6th at 7 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. The next matter on our agenda was the notice of intent, Timothy Johnson for 25 Vinyl Street. This happened the last time. No one showed up to present their notice of intent. I thought I made it very clear that unless you appear, we will not consider your filing. So for that reason, we will not consider it. And there's no one available online to present it. And then finally, for Inside Engineering, a notice of intent for 47 Rockland Road, we're advised that they requested, was it a continuance?
Yes.
Did they, to a specific date? Brooke?
It was not to a specific date,
So just continue
but
generally?
continued, yes.
All right. So apparently, they want to continue this matter until further notice. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we continue this hearing until, and take it up upon further notice when applicant notifies us.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. Okay. And I suppose, since we're changing the date of our hearing, is there a motion to change the date of our November 13, 2024 meeting to Wednesday, November 6, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. All right. So some of us went to 15 Brook Street over the weekend. And the house was built many years ago, I think 85, and the house was vacant, so we checked out the area where there was, a wetland. Still a wetland there, but everything is well established. And they had filed a request for basically a certificate of compliance. So, having said that, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for 15 Brook Street.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And then we had also, if you recall, had, there was a presentation from DOT to amend their order of conditions for the Mass Pike Exit Bridge project. I don't know that we voted on that. So I'm going to suggest that we didn't. Is there a motion to accept the amendment as proposed by DOT?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And then I see that there is a forest cutting plan for Rochdale Street in Leicester. I didn't see any correspondence in there, or did I see it and I missed it?
Let me see if I can find it. I would leave it alone. I left it at home, but I did receive in my packet a forest cutting plan for that.
Okay.
I think it was,
Oh, I have it right here. Yep. I'm so sorry. All right. Now, as I understand it, they're obliged to notify us, but we do not really have jurisdiction over this. So I believe that this was provided to us for our information only. Okay. All right, so why don't we get back to Mr. Goodman? in looking at the emails that were provided by Ms. O'Donnell,
Can I just look at this real quick?
I see communications between Mr. Averka and Ms. O'Donnell over a period of about 2.5 months, give or take. I don't see, and I can tell you because I was not copied on those communications. I will tell you that from time to time, and during the course of those months, I would ask Mr. Averka if we had heard from Mr. Goodman, or if he had any further knowledge concerning the filing of a notice of intent. And I was told that he didn't give me specific information. As I reviewed these email messages, it appears that the applicant, although I think the applicant obviously should have filed a notice of intent before he did any work on the property, it appears that once he received our letter, that he then engaged Ecotech to start, to delineate the wetlands and to start formulating a plan. So I guess the question then is, and again, and just to be, like I said, perfectly clear, I was not notified by Mr. Averka that this was in progress. Certainly, the applicant could have come to us, they could have said, we are working on a notice of intent. Would you please suspend the imposition of fines? And it's something we could have certainly taken up at that point. They did not do so. But I'm concerned that Mr. Averka, as an employee of the town of Auburn, was having communications with the applicant's representative and was aware of the progress, or was aware of the activities that the applicant was undertaking to file a notice of intent with us. So I'm disturbed that Mr. Averka did not share that information with us. I also believe that, he certainly had an obligation to notify us, which he didn't do. And I also see, I see an issue of fairness here with respect to the applicant. So the question then becomes, what do we do about the fine? Do we want to reduce the fine? And if so, how much?
So I do want to, I'm going to premise this by saying, I do think it's a good idea to reduce the fine, but I'm also going to say that you always say that we're not an adversarial, like, we can't advise on anything. And
That's right. That's
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
right.
they're advising him at this point, this is what's going on, blah, 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 and he's going out saying, this is what you need to do. When you asked Jesse, had they filed for an NOI, he answered, no, they did it, and they hadn't. You know what I mean? Like, they still hadn't filed.
But he could have also
He could have
said,
also said,
I've been in touch with
I've
them.
been in touch, but I think that maybe he was afraid to answer the rest of the story because some of this could be misconstrued as advising. I don't know. Because he's going out there saying, you have to redo the silt fence. You have to, there's some silt,
Well,
there's some stuff.
Look, the applicant's represented by Ecotech,
Right.
okay? Ecotech, we see them all the time. They're respected in their fields. I mean,
And I agree, both of it.
so
And
it's
I
not,
think that-
it's not his job to give advice. My point is that it would have been nice if he had told
should have
us
told us.
that they were working on it and that, he had this. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like he's having emails every day, but there's enough of an email trail that I saw to show that they were working on this.
Up until, and again, I think that
I mean, I
they
bel-
should have definitely come to, they should have come to us, and I know he didn't want to, probably, but they should have come to us and said, especially, he knows us. He
Yes, he
should have
does.
come to us and said, hey, that shouldn't have been left up to Jesse alone. They should have come to us and said, hey, by the way, please stop charging me money. We are
Well,
working on this.
I agree with you. I mean, I think the letter that was sent is about as clear as can be, right?
Yeah, just show up, one night, it's worth the money, show up.
Yeah.
Please stop showing, please stop charging me. I am working on this. This is my paperwork. This is what I'm trying to get done.
So,
And I have talked to Jesse, but, stop charging me.
so is this a failure to communicate effectively?
Yeah, but I do think at this point, and again, he's putting up the funds. I mean, and ultimately, I think we as a board want to protect the wetland.
Well, we do, certainly.
So I think that our fastest way to get that done is by charging him less money, having him pay it, and then having him put up a fence so nobody dumps any more garbage down the back of that slope.
So the question then becomes, how much do we charge? And it has to be based, it can't be arbitrary, it has to be based on something, right?
Right, I agree with you there, too.
And you're saying the emails come out to about 2.5 months?
The chronology that Ms. O'Donnell provided to us was that he received the letter on June 17th of 2024, and that the notice of intent was filed with the town on September 5th. So that is, basically, it's almost 3 months. It's, 2 months and 3 weeks. I don't know what the, but it came out to 85 days. It came out to 85 days.
Which is what we calculated.
What are your thoughts?
I wasn't here, so I don't really know what we're charging. What are we charging him now?
So it was going to be $100 a day.
$8,500 total.
8,500 total?
I mean, I think, I take your point. I think they could have said, we're working on this, stop assessing the fines. They could have given us a status report. Instead, there's communication between Mr. Averka and Ms. O'Donnell. And, she's telling him what's going on. And again, to Jesse's point, he's not saying anything about, he's not saying you're still being charged. He's also saying you're not going to be charged because you're working on this currently.
Right.
So I think there could have been some clarification on the part of the applicant.
And it's a learning curve for her.
He did ignore the request to come in front of the board.
Well, he did, and I agree with you. I mean, the reality is that we actually had sent an enforcement order to him back in April.
To come
And-
here.
Yes, that's right. And
Going back to April.
and it was because that he did not respond to that we sent the letter on June 13th. So basically, for 2 months, there was no response at all.
Right.
I mean, I have a figure in mind, and I think given the circumstances, I think it's a fair figure.
What do you think?
2,500.
Yep, I agree with that.
Reduce it by 2,500?
No, reduce it to 2,500.
I
I
agree
mean,
with you.
that's a substantial discount.
Sure it is.
I was thinking at least half, but I like that number better. Like I said, I want it just paid, I want it to be substantial enough so he feels it, but something that he's paying so that we protect the wetland.
I mean, the goal here is compliance, not punishment.
And that's
Yep.
exactly, yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
I
Okay.
agree.
So, that being said, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we reduce the fine to the applicant, Joe Goodman, from $8,500 to $2,500.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
Oh, do we have to vote do we do anything about the NOI, or we wait, oh, no, we wait on that because we've already pushed that to November 6th.
That's right, that's been continued to November 6th.
Regarding those pictures that were sent out, let's see. Just the map, there we go. This is approximately, I'll pass it around, this is approximately the location where the tree stumps were dumped down the hill, the slope here. I don't know the distance why, but, you know, as he said, well, I put the stumps there to stop the dirt when I dump it over the hill, but that's not...
he shouldn't have done
That's
anything.
not a site, even if there wasn't a wetland there, that's not a suitable way to do a site as far as...
So why don't we, first of all, we issued, based on what Tom saw at the property last week, an enforcement order was issued to Mr. Goodman or to Quality Worcester, Worcester Quality LLC. Is there a motion to ratify that enforcement order?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. My suggestion would be that we take further action on the enforcement order on November 6th. We'll take up the enforcement order and also the notice of intent. Okay? So can I have a motion just to continue?
Should we note that we understand that he's going to be putting up a fence there, though?
I think it can be reflected in the meeting minutes, okay?
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it can be read, something like, you know, there was discussion about lawn clippings and other material being dumped over the bank. But the applicant agreed to install a fence to prevent, or hopefully prevent that activity. Okay? All right. Is there any new business?
Just had a question.
Sure.
I have the enforcement order here. If you're
Signature should
continuing,
have appeared electronically.
no, this one is unsigned.
Okay. Do we know if it was issued, was it sent out to Mr. Goodman? Because Adam prepared it.
I don't believe it was signed, right?
We can sign it now.
Copy that we
Okay.
received.
That's fine.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before it was
Understood.
continued to the next meeting.
Okay.
We haven't done an updated VeriSign. Correct,
No.
Mike, or whatever they call it, the...
I'm
no,
not, I don't think so, I'm not sure.
We did that for the COVID, I remember. DocuSign, right? That's what it's called?
DocuSign's
Yeah.
when you sign like real estate documents and that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
well,
but-
like the same idea.
Yeah, it's the
Because
same
I
idea.
think the last time we did that was when Tony Ramanu and Nathan and them were still on the board.
That's
so
right.
It's been a while.
No, it's been. All right, is there any new business? All right, there being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much.